Still remember the night she came back into my life. Not slowly, not gently, but like a storm that had been waiting at the edge of the sky, just looking for a moment to break. Her message arrived at 2:14 a.m., a time when the world is silent, a time when mistakes feel louder. Just 11 words. But they pulled me straight out of the sleep I had spent months trying to fix. For a long moment, I just stared at the screen. My room was dark. My chest felt tight. And my mind went back to every lie, every empty promise, every moment I told myself she couldn't hurt me again. But pain has a strange way of feeling familiar. And familiar things are hard to ignore. I didn't reply. Yet I couldn't sleep either. Because the truth was simple. I once loved her so deeply that part of me still wanted to believe she could be different. And that tiny, dangerous part of me whispered, what if she really did change? That question, that single question, is what started everything that followed. The betrayal, the secrets, the lies she thought she buried, and the revenge I never planned but became impossible to avoid. This is the story of how a promise became a trap. And how the truth I uncovered didn't just hurt, it ended everything. The next morning, the sun felt too bright. You know, the kind where the light comes in through the window, like it's exposing her thoughts. I tried to distract myself. I went through my routine, shower, breakfast, work, but her message stayed in my mind every second. Around noon, another one came.
Please.
Just 5 minutes. I want to explain. I sighed. Not out of anger, but out of exhaustion. We had already been through this once. The apologies, the promises, the tears. And every time, her words were softer than reality. But she wasn't always like this. There was a time she made life feel warm. There was a time she felt like home. That's what made all of this harder. After an hour of thinking, I finally replied, one conversation. That's it. She responded instantly, like she was waiting with the phone in her hand. Thank you, you won't regret this. I didn't know it then, but that message was the first lie of her new set of lies. We agreed to meet at a small cafe near the park. Neutral territory. A place where things couldn't explode too loudly. When she arrived, she looked almost exactly the same soft smile, same careful eyes, same way of sitting across from me like she already knew what I would say. Except there was something new. Something I couldn't name yet. She started talking before I could. I know I ruined everything. I know I broke your trust. But I swear, I'm not that person anymore. Her voice cracked a little, just enough to sound real. But something about it felt rehearsed. I go to therapy now, she continued. I'm working. I'm stable. I think about what I did every day. I just want a chance to show you I can be better. I leaned back, watching her carefully.
People can change, yes.
But people can also learn how to act like they changed. I'm not promising anything, I told her. This is just a conversation. She nodded, but I saw the flicker of relief in her eyes. We talked for an hour. She apologized for the past, the manipulation, the lies, the emotional games she played when she felt insecure. And I'll admit, some part of me felt the old warmth again. Not trust. Not love. Just recognition of someone who once mattered. When we left the cafe, she touched my arm gently. Can we take it slow? Just talk sometimes? No pressure. I hesitated. Maybe too long. Because she smiled like she already knew the answer. And that was how the door reopened. Not wide, just enough for a shadow to slip through. I didn't know yet that while she talked about honesty and growth, she was hiding something big. Something active. Something ongoing. But betrayal has a way of staying quiet, right until it doesn't. Over the next 2 weeks, things felt strange. She messaged me every morning, small things like, hope your day starts well, or I saw something that reminded me of you. She wasn't intense or overwhelming. She wasn't the version of herself that used to suffocate me with attention. This new version felt patient.
Calm.
Gentle. Almost perfect. Too perfect. But I wanted to believe it. We met twice a week. Walks in the park. Short dinners. Conversations that felt surprisingly easy. Slowly, She slipped back into my world. And then came the moment that changed everything. It was a Thursday night when she said, "I want to earn your trust back. Can I show you something?" She unlocked her phone, opened her messages, and handed it to me. "Nothing to hide," she said softly. It was a bold move, a smart move, an emotional move. I didn't scroll. I didn't need to. Her gesture alone felt symbolic. But here's the thing, manipulation often hides inside gestures that look honest. Later that week, I noticed something small, something tiny, something she probably thought I wouldn't catch. A notification on her phone when she bent to pick up her jacket. It was from a contact saved as L. Just an initial. The message preview read, "Don't forget tomorrow.
Same time.
Same place." Her expression didn't change, even though she definitely saw me glance at it. She pretended not to notice. That's when a quiet suspicion settled in my chest. Not anger, not paranoia, just a strange, careful awareness. I didn't mention it. Not yet. Because sometimes the best way to learn the truth is to wait for it to reveal itself. And it always does. A few days later, she told me she could meet. Something about work, she said. A late shift. Nothing unusual. But that message from L kept echoing in my mind.
Same time.
Same place. So I did something I'm not proud of, but something I don't regret either. I went to the cafe near her workplace, the one she used to visit often. And there she was. Not alone. Sitting with someone across from her. Laughing. Leaning forward the same way she leaned with me when she wanted my attention. The man looked comfortable, too comfortable. Like this wasn't new. And then she did it. The small gesture that hit harder than anything else. She touched his hand.
Soft.
Familiar. The same way she used to touch mine when she wanted forgiveness. I stood there outside the window, feeling the world tilt slightly. Not because she was with someone else, but because of the lie, the promise, that I've changed, that I have nothing to hide. The phone she handed me after deleting the real things. She hadn't changed. She just became better at hiding. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Not then. Because sometimes silence is the sharpest knife. And I wanted the full truth before I made a single move. I started watching more closely. Her stories didn't line up. Her schedule didn't match. Her explanations felt scripted. So I did what any person with a cracked heart and a clear mind would do. I paid attention. And what I found wasn't just cheating, it was a whole second life. A routine she kept hidden. Conversations she thought she erased. Plans she never meant to cancel. The L in her phone wasn't a coworker, or a friend, or someone harmless. He was someone she was seeing the entire time she told me she wanted to fix things. Someone she kept as a backup in case I didn't take her back. And suddenly, everything made sense. The perfect behavior. The careful words. The "I've changed" speeches. She didn't want me. She wanted the idea of me. The safety I represented. The comfort of knowing she could come back whenever her other world felt unstable. When that truth hit me, it didn't make me angry. It made me calm. Very calm. Because now I knew exactly what kind of person I was dealing with. Not someone broken, but someone calculated. And that meant only one thing. She didn't deserve anger. She deserved exposure. A truth she couldn't talk her way out of. A moment she couldn't twist into a victim story. She wanted a second chance? Fine. She would get one. But not the way she expected. The night I confirmed everything, I didn't sleep. Not because I was heartbroken. That part had already healed long before she came back. I stayed awake because I wasn't angry, and that terrified me. Anger is loud. Anger burns fast and disappears. But clarity, real clarity, is silent. It grows quietly, like a storm building behind calm skies. I sat in my living room with only the streetlights slipping through the blinds, replaying everything she ever told me in the past 3 weeks. Every promise. Every apology. Every "I'm different now." Every "I just want to earn you back." And then I replayed the scene from the cafe, her laughing with him, her touch on his hand, her soft smile reserved for whichever man she needed most that day. She didn't change.
She evolved.
She became better at pretending. And that's what made this different. This wasn't just heartbreak. This wasn't someone lost or confused. This was someone who believed she could betray me twice and walk away untouched. And that thought, that arrogance, unlocked something cold and very steady inside me. Revenge wasn't my first instinct. I didn't want to ruin her. I didn't want to hurt her. I wanted something far simpler. I wanted the truth to speak for itself. No yelling. No confrontation. No drama. Just reality placed so clearly in front of her that she wouldn't be able to twist it, erase it, or hide from it. So my plan wasn't about destroying her life. It was about letting her destroy her own. All I had to do was help the truth appear exactly where it needed to. And the first step was simple. I had to let her think I still believed her. I messaged her the next morning. Sorry I've been distant. Work's been heavy. Let's meet tomorrow? Her reply came 5 seconds later. Yes. Yes, of course. Whenever you're free. She tried to hide her excitement, but manipulators always reveal themselves in their eagerness. She suggested a quiet restaurant she liked, and I agreed, because I needed her to feel safe. I needed her to think her lies were working. Once she felt confident, she would slip. They always do. But to expose someone like her, I needed one more thing. Proof. Not just what I saw. Not suspicions. Not guesses. I needed her own words. Her own actions. Evidence she couldn't deny. I made a list. Her schedule, her second phone number I suspected she had, her meetings with Elle, the real nature of their relationship, the lies she told me during those same hours. Each piece was a thread, and I just had to pull them. The dinner the next evening went exactly how I expected. She arrived early. She dressed nicely, too nicely for someone meeting an ex they were taking it slow with. Her smile was big, bright, almost glowing with confidence. She believed she won. She believed I was falling for the act again. She believed she had both of us. When I sat down, she leaned forward, eyes warm. I missed you. I smiled back, soft, small, controlled. I missed this, I said. And those 3 words were all she needed to drop her guard. Throughout dinner, she talked about her progress, while her phone vibrated twice in her purse. Each time, she ignored it too quickly. That was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 happened when she excused herself to the restroom. She left her phone locked, of course, on the table. When it buzzed, the screen lit up just enough to reveal the name. Liam. Not Elle. Not an initial. A full name. My heart didn't break. My hands didn't shake. I just watched it and breathed slowly, memorizing every detail like a quiet observer in her movie. When she returned, she acted like nothing happened. She laughed at my jokes. She asked about my family. And I let her. Because this wasn't the stage for the truth. This was the bait. After dinner, she walked closer to me than she should have. Her hand brushed against mine, and I didn't move away. We stood outside for a moment, the air cold, the silence heavy. I'm really glad we're talking again, she whispered. I nodded. Me too. Let's make things right this time. Her smile was pure satisfaction. In her mind, she was in control. What she didn't know was that earlier that day, I learned everything. A friend of mine who works in IT helped me with a simple recovery. Nothing illegal. Nothing invasive, just retrieving old cloud backup logs from the device she voluntarily gave me access to when she proved she had nothing to hide. A simple reconstruction of recently deleted messages. And there it was. Dates, times, locations, screenshots, audio notes, plans with Liam, her telling him that she's just keeping me close until she decides what she wants, her laughing about me trying to be patient, her saying, "It's cute how he believes I changed." Cute. That word burned, but not in a painful way. In a way that sharpened my focus. Because now I had what I needed. Everything I would eventually show her wouldn't be my accusation. It would be her reflection. As she hugged me goodbye, she whispered, "I promise I won't hurt you again." I whispered back, "I know." She smiled, thinking it was forgiveness. But what it really was confirmation. Confirmation that she truly believed she could rewrite history. Confirmation that she thought of herself as the victim of her own mistakes. Confirmation that she was sure I would never walk away again. And that's what solidified my next steps. Revenge didn't need to be loud, or cruel, or dramatic.
It just needed to be honest.
And the most painful truth in the world is the truth a manipulator tells themselves they'll never face. The stage was ready. The pieces were in place. And all I had to do was make her believe our second chance was working. For the next week, I matched her energy. If she texted warm, I responded warm. If she sent long messages, I replied thoughtfully. If she spoke with hope, I spoke with understanding. I wasn't hiding my intentions. I wasn't lying to her. I wasn't faking emotions. I was simply giving her the version of me she expected, so the truth would sting sharper when it arrived. Meanwhile, I gathered everything. Screenshots, timestamps, call logs, deleted messages recovered, audio clips of her laughing about how predictable I was, her telling Liam she would choose whoever makes life easier. Whoever. The word choice was perfect, because nothing reveals a person more than their vocabulary. To her, relationships weren't love. They were strategy. I just had to let her strategy collapse on itself. A week later, she suggested something new. Let's spend the whole day together on Saturday like old times. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. Mine stayed steady. That sounds perfect, I said. But perfect wasn't the word she should have used. Perfect days are often the ones where everything falls apart. And Saturday was going to be exactly that. We met at the lake, her favorite place. She said it made her feel peaceful, like she could breathe again. She wore the same perfume she wore the day we first met. The same soft, warm scent that once made my mind quiet for hours. But this time, it didn't soften anything. It sharpened everything.
We walked for a while.
She held my arm. She laughed easily. She talked about the future, holidays, traditions, places we could visit. She talked like she already owned the story she was rewriting. And all the while, my phone held everything I was going to show her. Everything she never expected me to know. And because she was so comfortable, so convinced, so certain of her control, I knew exactly when to break the silence. We stopped near the edge of the water, her hand resting lightly on my chest as she smiled up at me. "This feels right again," she whispered. And I nodded. It does. Almost right enough for one small thing to finally make sense. She blinked. Confused. What thing? I took out my phone. And for the first time in weeks, her smile faltered. Just slightly. But enough. I opened the folder. Not aggressively. Not with anger. Just calmly, like opening a book she thought she'd burned. "I think you should see this," I said, my voice even. Her eyes flickered from my face to the screen and back. "What is it?" I didn't answer. I just handed her the phone. The first image was a screenshot of her messages with Liam, time-stamped from the morning. She handed me her own phone to prove she had nothing to hide. Her face went pale. She started scrolling faster, her breath catching. More messages. More proof. Audio recordings I'd recovered. Her voice, clear as day, laughing. "It's cute how he believes I changed." She looked up, her eyes wide, mouth slightly open. This is out of context. You don't understand." I stayed quiet, just watching her. The silence was heavier than any accusation. She stumbled over her words. "Liam is just a friend. A coworker. We talk about work stuff. You're twisting this." I still said nothing. I let the weight of her own words fill the space between us. She scrolled further, and her hands began to shake. She saw the pictures she thought she deleted. The plans they'd made for the very days she told me she was working late. The lies, laid out in a perfect, undeniable timeline. Her composure cracked. "Why are you doing this? Why now? I thought we were rebuilding something." Finally, I spoke, my voice low and steady. "We weren't rebuilding anything, Emily. You were performing. And I was just finally paying attention." She tried to hand the phone back, her movements jerky. "This is an invasion of my privacy. You had no right." I took the phone, my eyes never leaving hers. You gave me the right when you handed me your phone and said, "Nothing to hide." You gave me the right when you looked me in the eye and promised you'd changed. Privacy isn't the issue here. Honesty is. She took a step back, wrapping her arms around herself. The confident woman from minutes ago was gone, replaced by someone exposed, cornered. "What do you want from me?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "I don't want anything from you," I said. "I just wanted you to see what I see. I wanted you to sit with the truth, just for a moment, without being able to run from it or explain it away or twist it into a story where you're the victim." I paused, letting the lake's quiet stillness amplify the tension. "You didn't lose me, because I found out the truth, Emily. You lost me the moment you decided the truth wasn't important." She stared at me, tears now streaming down her face, but they weren't the gentle, controlled tears she used during apologies. These were raw, messy, real. She had nothing left to say. No script for this moment. I turned and started walking away, leaving her there by the water, surrounded by the wreckage of her own lies. I didn't look back. There was no satisfaction in it. No victory. Just a deep, hollow quiet. It was over. Truly over. A month passed. A whole month of quiet mornings, peaceful nights, and days that finally felt like they belonged to me again. I wasn't healing in some dramatic, overnight transformation. No, my healing was slow, steady, almost gentle. But just when life starts to settle, the past always tries to test you. It was a Saturday afternoon. Soft sunlight, open windows, the kind of day where the world feels easy. That's when my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "I need to explain. Please." I exhaled. Not again. I knew instantly who it was. Emily had tried texting from her normal number for weeks, but I never responded. So now she switched numbers, a new tactic, same intentions. A moment later, "I'm not trying to start anything. I just need you to hear me. But the thing about truth is, once you've heard enough of it, you no longer fear what comes next." I locked my phone, set it aside. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel pulled back. I didn't feel tempted. My peace was louder than her message. But the universe wasn't done. 2 hours later, the buzzer rang at my apartment door. I didn't move at first. Didn't react. Then a voice echoed through the speaker. "Can we talk, please?" Emily. Standing downstairs. Waiting. Hoping I'd come down just one more time. I walked to the speaker, stared at the button, and felt a strange calm settle inside me. Not anger. Not resentment. Just clarity. "Emily," I said into the speaker, "you don't have to do this." Her voice cracked through the small static speaker. "I do. I messed everything up. Let me explain, let me fix it." "You had the chance to fix things when it mattered," I said softly. "And when the truth came out, you chose denial, not change." A beat of silence. "You don't understand," she said quietly. "I've actually changed this time. I swear I'm not the same." I closed my eyes. That word again, changed. A promise without proof. A word she used like a bandage on the wounds she caused. "Emily," I said, "I hope you do change. Not for me, but for you. But I can't be part of that journey anymore." She didn't respond. The silence stretched. Heavy. Full. Then I ended the call. Not to hurt her. Not to punish her. But because I was no longer someone she could reach through a buzzer, a message, or a memory. The past had tried to return, but it found a door that no longer opened. The next few days were strangely calm. No more unexpected messages. No more knocks at the door. No more old echoes trying to pull me back. Instead, I started noticing something else, something I didn't expect. Life was expanding again. Slowly, quietly, but undeniably. I woke up with lighter thoughts. I laughed more, even at small things. I reconnected with friends I'd drifted from. I found hobbies I forgot I loved. I started walking more, thinking more, breathing more. It's strange how much space a toxic cycle takes up, how much mental room it steals without permission. When it's gone, you suddenly feel like you're living in a bigger world. One evening, I sat in a cafe, watching people talk, smile, argue, live. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was part of life again. Not surviving, living. There was a moment where I almost laughed at myself. I used to think Emily was the only person who truly understood me. I used to believe she was the one thread holding my life together. But when she left, when the truth finally forced me to let go, I realized something powerful. She wasn't the thread holding me together. She was the knot holding me back. Letting go didn't break me. It freed me. And freedom feels like breathing after holding your breath for years. A few weeks later, something unexpected happened. I found myself writing a letter. Not because I wanted her back. Not because I needed closure. But because sometimes the heart needs to put words somewhere, even if no one else ever reads them. The letter started simple. Emily, I hope you're okay. But slowly, it became something deeper. I wrote about the pain, the confusion, the disappointment. But I also wrote about the growth, the peace, the lessons. I wrote about how I wasn't angry anymore, how I didn't hate her, how I didn't wish her harm or heartbreak or regret. Because the truth was, I wanted her to heal too. Not so we could reunite, but so neither of us would repeat the same patterns with someone else. I wrote everything I never said during our relationship, not the accusations, but the honesty. And when I was finished, I folded the letter, placed it in a drawer, and never sent it. Because the letter wasn't for her. It was for me. A final release. A quiet goodbye. A way of saying, thank you for the lessons. But I'm done carrying the pain. Months passed. Life kept moving. Slow, steady healing. And one day, a day that felt normal, unplanned, ordinary, I realized something profound. I no longer thought about Emily with hurt. I thought about her with distance. Like a chapter from a book I no longer read, but still learned from. And that's when I knew this was the real ending. Not the moment I confronted her. Not the moment she stood at my door. Not the moment I ignored her messages. The real ending happened the moment I stopped needing closure from her because I found it within myself. The truth I discovered didn't break me. It built me. And in the end, she didn't destroy my life. She redirected it. Sometimes endings hurt because they arrive before we're ready. But sometimes endings save us because they protect us from stories that were never meant to be ours. And that was the final truth of it all.